next meeting. Let's roll it.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Naomi Miller, Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I am calling to order this regular Select Board meeting on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, at 6 p.m. in Cole Hall. Does anybody here have a conflict of interest with anything on the agenda?
No.
No.
Okay. First order of business is the minutes from our last meeting. Any amendments to these minutes?
Zoe has,
I have one amendment to the top of page 2, which is item 5. I think the stapler is on top of it. It's like towards the end of item 5. Instead of numeric, it should read Emric, which is all capital letters NEMRC.
Okay. Anybody else? Nothing else?
no.
Oops, I should have asked for a motion to approve these minutes to begin with.
Moved that we second, I mean,
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so that was our discussion.
Yep.
All in favor of adopting these minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
I know it looks like, it's going to look like we have a long agenda ahead of you, but actually it's going to go pretty
Yeah, it's
fast.
pretty quick.
So we're glad you're here. And announcements.
No.
I have none. Oh, I have one. It's very minor, though. I learned something vague that I don't know everything about yet, but I'm going to continue to look into, but I just wanted to bring it up, which is there is tax relief in certain ways for seniors that you are able to file for in the state of Vermont. I found out because I know somebody does it in Texas, and it works sort of similarly to escrow. I'm going to look into this thing, but I think I found a little bit of tax relief for seniors who are unable to pay their property taxes specifically.
Great.
And I'm going to learn a little bit more about that. But there is like this sort of a program, and it's against your home, and then anyway. So more to come.
thank you.
But I'm
Thank
announcing
you.
it also so I don't forget, because Sarah will write it down, and then I will see it again.
Great.
And I have to see a lot of things, so that will help me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other announcements?
I had run-of-the-mill ones like dog licenses. I think July 1st it goes up $10, so get your dogs licensed. The reappraisal continues, and the work started in the new building today. The floors are coming up, so yay.
Yeah.
We're on our way.
Awesome.
Great.
That's great. And then the next step will be taking down some walls.
Taking down some walls, and the vault is in the ordering of the vault is in the warrant.
Good.
Great.
We're paying for the vault tonight,
No, well, half of it.
sort of. Yeah. Great. It's exciting. Any other announcements?
No.
Okay, warrants. I have here check warrant report number 25029 for $200,154.26. Can I have a motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Tony. Thank you, Brad, for seconding. Okay, items over 1,000. Aflac for $1,594.
Supplemental insurance for employees.
Right.
The Bennington County Sheriff's Department,
That is sheriff services for the month of May.
$6,851.25. Bove Fuels, $2,089.80.
DPW fuel.
DPW fuel, okay. Crick Gravel and Land Development, $1,792.
That is the new one. Quick gravel. Oh, that's on the other one.
Crick.
Here it is. Sand. DPW sand.
At random, Fire Tech and Safety of New England, $375.
That's a new one. Fire department equipment.
Green Mountain Power, a long list of them,
So,
one of which is $1,042.46. The rest of them are fairly small.
yeah. Electric bills.
Electric bills.
Yeah.
Harrison Schrader Enterprises, 10,000 buckaroos.
Oh, they're the new one. Hold on, Harrison. Oh, that is the fire department's equipment. They were buying that piece of equipment, the extractor. This is the part that comes out of their equipment fund. And they also were paying $8,000 out of their own check, their own checking
Yep.
account, which is.
Oh, so that's out of their
Yeah.
fund. That they
It's
got.
their
The
fund.
fire-
And then they're matching like
Yeah,
8,000.
the
of it.
fire
Okay.
company is
Got
putting
it.
in their money, and this is from their actual budget.
Got it. Perfect.
Nimerick, 7,750.
That's the June reappraisal.
Moving along. Peckham Industries, 1,740.
Peckham gravel.
Sycamore Landscaping, two of them, 1,600 and 3,208.
The parks and cemetery mowing.
Right.
Right, okay. North Bennington Water Department, $74,106.50.
It's the water bill.
And then passive, so this is our municipal insurance, 23,391.
Yeah, that's like workman's comp and all of our property insurance and such.
Any discussion, questions about this?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Was that it?
Yeah, there's no payroll warrant until tomorrow because we're waiting for a one-time card. But we'll have it tomorrow if you want to
Stop in and...
stop in and give your John Hancock.
Okay.
Do some.
Public comments.
Do I stay here? Do you want me to come to the table?
Do you want to,
Do you want me to wait?
do you mind if we do it under cemetery committee discussion?
Not at all.
Okay, just because I think then we have lots of time to talk and, okay, good, great. But anything else on the agenda or anything anybody wants to talk about? No? Okay. Anybody on, only Gina on treasurer's report. Hello, Melanie.
Hello. We take a look at the cash flow. There we go. So this will close out May. Most of this we've already talked about, but the big number to look at there is the tax reconciliation. That's the check we get from the school based on what the cash flow from the state for each school. What they give us in the first is an estimate, and then they do a final reconciliation. That's a lot of money for us. It's rounding error for them, but it comes at a very good time of year for us. So glad to see that in our coffers right now. It comes at a very good time for us.
Yes.
Delinquent taxes, you can see. I got another check from Holly today for about that same amount, so that's also coming at a good time.
Good.
If you want to look at the bottom half of this page,
I see we got another Comcast refund.
Oh, yes, I meant to
Look
say,
at that.
that's two more in there.
$1,758. Go, Jen.
I want to save I've offered them to Jen since they're already deposited through just the scanner. I was going to give her the checks to frame if she wants, but they should definitely be memorialized.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
How much more do they owe us? How much more do they owe us?
I think this is it. It was about $2,000.
I thought so.
Yes, because the
They've been
first batch was last month.
Right.
It was years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They don't make it easy for you. It takes a pit bull to get
Yeah.
claw money back out of Comcast. So that's our cash balance is under 200. You just signed a warrant for 200, by the way.
Yes.
A lot of that is
Reserve funds.
a lot of it's coming out of the reserve fund. So I'll just need to be very on top of taking care of the due to, due froms. There's about 40,000 in due to the general fund already before that. So we're not. We'll be fine, but
We're not
I
gonna be
like to
bouncing
be
any
alarmist. We are not going to be bouncing any checks. So. When look at the very bottom, it's this is not a very useful exercise anymore, just because of the idiosyncrasies for this year. So you can see we're considerably ahead in both revenue and expenditures. We bought a new building. We've talked about this a million times, but that's what it looks like. And we'll start with a clean slate on July 1st, and then we'll actually have a budget that's meaningful. So any questions about any of that? None of this should be new. I've mentioned it a bunch of times.
It was a very expensive year.
Yeah,
A lot of
and
things
had some strange things that are just one-time things. It's not an indication of anything ongoing. I want to take a quick look at the reserve funds. The thing that you see the number in the credits column, the only thing there is water. That's because the water payments are coming in nicely. You can see that we're still very much underwater in that fund, and it's going to get a lot worse when we pay the bill to North Bennington that you just signed on that warrant. The other thing of note here is if you look at the very top line, that's where all of the interest is going to show up now. So this is for the final of May. Tiffany contacted Jordan, and she has sort of an issue with assigning negative interest to certain funds every month. I don't have the same issue with it because I think that it shines a bright light when you have a negative position in a fund. But she did talk to our external auditor, Jordan, and he was fine with having just all of the interest be in one place. So it's not being assigned by line anymore. And that's fine. It certainly is easier for me. And it's water is the one that is the really important negative one, and I'm not sure that we need to keep talking about it. We know that it's negative. So anyway, so from now on, interest is just going to show up there. And there have been, we have a lot of other changes going on, as I've mentioned before, but with the use of the cash receipts module in NEMRIC. So actually, for knowing exactly where all that money is going for a snapshot, you'll still, if we could go back to the cash flow for just 1 second. This is where you're going to have probably your easiest view of where the money is going. Where the money is coming in, the top half, because with the use of the cash receipts module, they're all just coded, so this is the place where you'll actually see what's really coming in. It's outside of NEMRIC, but it's just a snapshot. Another thing that I've been talking about with Tiffany, we both have realized that you do not weigh in on ACH payments. They don't appear on warrants, and they really should. So we have come up with I mean, this goes back forever. You sort of have a blanket approval with WageWorks, for example. Those are approved ahead of time at the budgeting point, and they don't appear on a warrant because we don't write a check for them. They just disappear from our checking account. But for the sake of transparency, Tiffany and I have come up with a way to have that go through the AP process. So it will appear on warrants going forward, not this month, but starting next month, and certainly in the new fiscal year. You'll see them with the amount, but zero for the amount of the check because it's already been taken out. So that you already see that with things like IRS payments, and it's on the payroll in a couple of, like most of the payroll, because it's direct deposit. You're not seeing the actual amount assigned to a check because there is no check. Is that clear? Mm-hmm. So going forward, all of that stuff, all the money going out will appear on warrants now. It'll look a little bit different, and I hope that you'll ask me about it and you'll say, why does this look so weird? And then I'll remind you of this conversation. Okay. So that's going forward, not this time. Is all of that clear?
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions about anything?
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
DPW report. Paula Philmike.
Grading, and more grading the roads.
It's a great thing, great.
And it's finally drying up. So.
Okay. EMS Week Acknowledgement and Proclamation. We're a little late, but we're doing it. We've been a little overwhelmed.
They said if no one could come tonight, and it looks like no one has been able to come, that we should do this and invite them up and have like a photo op and present it to them then, so we don't have to do this.
Okay.
Unless you want to read it, and then you guys have to sign it though, right? Okay, never mind. Why don't you read it and sign it, but I will get them up here for a photo op and then give it to them.
Okay.
As per Bill Conrada, Bennington Rescue Squad.
EMS Week Proclamation to designate the week of May 19th through 23rd, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of the Bennington Rescue Squad are ready to provide life-saving care for those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas emergency medical services have grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, referral to resources in our community, and follow-up care. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, advanced emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of the Bennington Rescue Squad, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now, therefore, the town of Shaftsbury, in recognition of this event, hereby proclaims the week of May 19th through 23rd, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Can I have a motion to sign this
So,
document? Thank you, Tony.
Second.
Thank you, Brad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm going to pass it that way so it comes around. Okay. Development Review Board reappointments. For a couple of years, we seem to have forgotten the process of formally reappointing people who are on various boards and committees at the times when their terms expired. And so now we are returning to the practice of asking them to send letters saying that they wish to be reappointed if they do, and then bringing their names forward and voting on their reappointment. So, for the Development Review Board reappointments, we have the entire board at this point. Ted Haberfield, Michael Day, Sarah Costin, and James Brow. Can I have a motion?
I
to
move that
approve?
we accept them from the DRB.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Brad. Any discussion?
No.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, folks, for your service. And this is a reminder, we have an opening on that commission. Planning Commission reappointments include Michael Algus and Michael Foley.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So approved, and thank you, Michael and Michael. Okay, Emerald Ash Borer Committee interview. We are It's Charlie. We're interviewing folks for this
Emerald Ash.
Emerald Ash Borer Committee that we think is very important. Would you be willing to come? You want to stay where you are?
Yeah, I'd rather stay.
Okay, got it.
If I could be around the corner, I'd rather like that.
But thank you for coming. So, what would you like to ask this gentleman who has so graciously offered to serve on this?
Why do you want to be on it, Charlie?
I can tell an ash from a basswood.
Good.
I can tell an ash from a hickory.
Yeah.
I've had several years of logging experience. I don't do that anymore, but I can tell a difference between trees. And there's a serious problem with them.
Yeah.
I can't say anything more than that. I don't know what you want me to say.
And you've been participating in the volunteer efforts, right?
I try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been out counting the trees with the...
Not yet.
Not
no.
yet? Okay.
No,
That you will be.
Yeah, you will be.
I will be.
I know it's still
That's
underway and that Dave Mance has been handling it and we've been having, I know you've been out there, right? Mr. Whitman, yeah, awesome. All right.
Can I just add something? He also works as a DRB member, employee in our Department of Public Works in White Creek, so he knows about plow trucks. He knows what happens when trees are in the way of plowing, all that sort of stuff. So it's just a perfect match for us.
That's
That is
wonderful.
perfect, yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Understands the real consequences.
Right, so it's, what seems like frivolous for you guys is major for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially like EMS, your fire
Oh,
department.
absolutely.
If the
Absolutely.
road's blocked because of a tree that, they did, once the emerald ash gets into it, it starts, not only kills from the top, it kills the bottom.
Yep.
And a little bit of wind or snow and they'll tip over. So,
Yeah, I've heard they love to fall down.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's something we really have to draw people's attention to is the
It
absolute
needs more
medical
focus than what it's
emergency
getting.
nature of this plague on our trees.
Yeah. Across the seaboard, really, so. So thank you. Any further questions?
No. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks.
Charlie, I think we need to, could somebody move to appoint
I
Charlie
move that
Jenks?
we appoint Charlie Jenks to the last board committee.
Thank you, Tony.
Second.
Thank you, Brad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you. With that, I'm out of here. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
And I'd rather done it around the corner.
Yeah.
He's coming home, Gina.
That's great. Okay. here we are. The Sewer Feasibility Committee, no. The
He's
Sewer
not here
Feasibility
yet.
Committee report is actually not going to be provided because Mike Chianowski was unable to make it. We do need to meet about this, though, and I would like to suggest that we hold a special meeting a week from tonight to hear that report and weigh in on it. And the reason for the rush is that we really need to weigh in on that and finalize our response to that committee, because they then need to talk to Dufresne. It is really, the process of that grant has to do with Dufresne getting a recommendation from that committee at this point before they can move on to do the next segment of the study. So that seems urgent. Can people make it?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah. I'll have to attend virtually, but I can do it.
Okay, great. So we will have a special meeting on the sewer feasibility committee report a week from tonight, June 9th at 6 p.m.
Great.
Great. Okay. Cemetery committee discussion.
Who would you
Yeah.
like to go first?
Do you want me?
Sure, we've got your name up. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
She had public comment, so I didn't know what you wanted first.
I'm not on the committee, so that's why I was.
I see. But are you here to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's.
That's part of the, yeah.
Good.
So,
Before you jump in, I'm Zoe.
Yes,
Yes. And you're Kathy Carter.
yes I am.
So we've been talking for the past couple weeks since that meeting. We went into executive session. We talked for about 30 minutes. I don't know why it looked like 3 on the Zoom, but you can take a look. And
22 minutes.
22 minutes. And we had a conversation in which we sort of were hoping to streamline things, and in doing so, we misstepped. And we were incorrect in our position to disband the cemetery committee. We were wrong to do so. And we do want to talk with you and hear from you and the committee and other members of the community about how the committee could best function and how the cemeteries can be best served, because we all know that that's the most important thing here, right? And the most important thing to you if you're on the cemetery committee as the chair. So we want to apologize for having misstepped. The committee still exists as it did before. It was outside of our purview to do that. The reason we did it was really just in hopes of making it so that decisions could go to be more effective. We didn't think before we made the decision. And I'm new to the board, and I'm new to things like this. So this was a real big learning lesson for me. That should have been a moment for me and for all of us to sit down and say, okay, we have some comments, we have some thoughts. We need to take time and weigh in with others and wait 2 weeks and read and learn. We didn't do that. So that was a mistake. So we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear what you have to say about the cemetery committee at large and about the future. And sort of as we move forward as a group and as a town, we're hoping to get, I'm sure, as you can see from the reappointments, all of the committees more involved and more active. That's sort of the goal, and sort of get things moving. So anyway, that's where we are today. Cemetery committee is as it stands. You are the chair. But yes, we'd love to hear from you.
yes.
Okay, well, took the wind out of my sails. But no, I did come to give you more information.
Great. Thank you.
And the first thing I want to tell you is I know that both terms were used, commission and committee, and there's a big difference between the two. A cemetery commission is voted in.
Elected individuals.
Yes, and they take responsibility for the select board. Take responsibility for the cemetery. The select board doesn't. That happens in a lot of towns. Let's see, Montpelier, Williston, Putney, Wilmington. There's a whole bunch of them. There's another group that has a commission, and those are churches. You know, churches may have bodies that that take care of their cemeteries. Then the committee is a group of volunteers from the community who have a specific focus and interest in the operation of the cemeteries, just like the Recreation Committee, just like the Emerald Ash Borer Committee, Energy Committee, all those things. Many towns have those too. Brattleboro, Barry, South Burlington. The Shaftsbury Cemetery Committee has been in operation for a very long time. The oldest town report I had access to was 25 years ago, and it was going then. There was a report in the 2000 town report from the Cemetery Committee, Cemetery Superintendent. That was 3 superintendents ago, so, yeah, we've been doing it a while.
Many years.
So I wanted to give you the first paragraph of the operating procedures for the Cemetery Committee.
Thank you.
I think you may not have, you don't have it. Paula, do you want one or no? Okay. I have more. if you want. Yeah. Thank you. This is what starts out the document. That's the rules and regulations that you signed 3 weeks ago. Okay. And you can see it starts out, it governs how we do what we do. We're required to update these rules and regulations every 2 years. That's why we just brought them to you before. Okay? So that kind of outlines, why we do what we do. This also is the Cemetery Committee responsibilities. This was updated and approved by the Select Board March 22nd in 2010. And I don't think it's changed since then.
Yeah, I don't think it has either. We pulled.
No,
You pulled it? You have it?
Yeah, I only have the one
but
copy, so everybody else will need physical copies.
Okay.
I have the one physical copy.
Oh, pass one to me. She has a copy.
Okay, so this is what guides us. It says, as you can see, it says the Cemetery Committee shall assist the Select Board. We've always conferred with past superintendents, past town administrator, to fulfill these duties, because we don't do them all. We don't do an evaluation on the superintendent. We're really focused on the cemeteries. So specifically, we assess the cemeteries to see what projects we should focus on for the coming year. We tour the cemeteries. In the spring, we had that scheduled for Friday. We review extensively and update the policies and procedures governing the cemeteries. It takes a while. It's wording, just a lot of wording. We interview potential candidates for the superintendent's position, as well as future committee members, and make recommendations to the Select Board, because you appoint them, as you just did. We expected to recommend a new member tonight. We'll see. We also determine the use of the capital fund, and the capital fund was previously named the Cemetery Reserve Fund. I couldn't tell you where it came from. I don't know. It's always back. But this pays for special projects above and beyond the operational costs of running the cemetery and paying payroll, you just signed a warrant for mowing for the cemetery, things like that. But it may be, projects above and beyond. I think we put money, I won't say, it might be fences. It might be, large repair. There's not a lot of money there. I think there's less than 70,000. Right? Yeah, and we're pretty careful with it. Huh?
You're actually, we're all, but very responsible for the fences in particular by Vermont law. Yeah.
That is one of the rules, that they all should have fences.
I'm sorry, I was
If,
thinking.
no, if you, Village Cemetery's been without a fence for a long time. But Dave Kiernan would tell you that there's no fixing the fence that is there because it would have to be sandblasted and it has lead paint on it. So it would have to be tented.
Yep, I remember. the
Yeah,
conversation about that.
yeah. So we haven't come up with a good alternative that we can afford.
Right.
We can't afford. Two sides of that cemetery are fenced. It's the road sides that we want it to look nice, but there needs to be something there. And we have 5 active cemeteries that people can still be buried in. We also have another cemetery that we have to mow because, it was requested and it was warned, and because it was one that had been abandoned, even though it's on private property. And
What is that, out of curiosity, 'cause I don't know.
Shaftsbury Hollow
Yeah.
That's right.
needs to be, I'm sorry?
Twice a year?
3 times. I think I thought it was 2, but then they tell me 3. And Jay, I talked to Jay a little while ago, and he goes up and does that periodically. He knows the landowner pretty well, DJ Schaefer, and so they just work it out. It's a great cemetery. It has about 60 graves in it. But then there's also many little cemeteries on private land, which, to me, should be attended to. I mean, no one's going to be buried in there, but all those gravestones are going undersod. Trees are growing up in there. Most of them are on the west side. There's a big one, or there's a nice one on Sugar Maple Road.
Oh, yeah.
Sugar House Road.
Sugar House Road, Benedict's property,
Down at the end of the.
has a fence around it. and-
Yep.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's great. A lot of them one is 3 graves side the road, but somebody mows it, so, I really would like to put time, personally, into saving those cemeteries, so. So that's what I wanted to tell you, I guess. Is there any questions you have about that I could answer for you? We're supposed to have no more than 5 members, which if this person is willing to come forward now, we will have at the moment, but we'll see. Okay?
I would love to know, as a relative newcomer to Vermont, I've only been here a little under 10 years, if you could sort of describe for me the overall meaning of cemeteries in the history of Vermont, which seem to be kind of have a deep place.
Well, they're very important as far as genealogy. People will say, this is how you find them. There's a whole website, Find a Grave. And that's all they do. That's the only thing they can use is stones like that. I think there's a real problem with a lot of cremations and the cost of burials and things. I think a lot of that's going to be lost. People are just not putting stones up, but may not, or they're taking ashes somewhere else. A lot of people do have a plot, which is a great thing. There's some place there to honor, to go and to honor that person. But I don't know what to say to you, Naomi, about how important in the past, cemeteries have been. Have any of you toured the Barry Cemetery, the Hope Cemetery in Barry, Vermont?
No.
If you are
Seen it online.
ever in that area, walk through it. That's where the quarry was. There were a lot of stone cutters and stonemasons that were brought in there to work in the quarry. So they have these fantastic gravestones shaped like. There is one that has a man and a woman in bed looking at each other.
Yeah.
The whole thing. They're gorgeous. And what they do is they tell the story of that person. And I think that's really important, that we decide what we want to leave, however it is, what we want to say on our stone and what we want it to look like.
Yeah.
So that's, but yeah, you can go online and see it too. I have a book also about it, but yeah.
I have a much less heartfelt question, sort of procedural one. So I was wondering, as someone who's sort of getting acquainted with all the committees, and I'm kind of acquainted with the DRB and the Planning Commission because I was on them, but I haven't been on every committee, and I kind of know what the Rec Committee does because it's liaised a lot with the Community Center Development Committee. But I was wondering, as someone becoming acquainted with what you all do, how often you meet and how you meet. Do you meet in person? Do you meet, all year? Like, how do you all handle the structure?
We meet usually from April through November.
Okay.
Because nothing's going on in the cemeteries during the winter much. And that has seemed to work. We meet monthly. We meet the first Wednesday of the month at 9 o'clock right here. What else did you ask? What do we do?
that was
We
all.
really look to Jen for the agenda. We've been involved with the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
And we got that done in November. And now it's looking ahead to this season and what do we need to do this season.
Okay. Awesome. That was my question.
Kathy, I was thinking, there's got to be a way to register the deaths in the community because it is a historical document. I'm wondering if we could,
Wouldn't the town clerk would have them, right?
yeah.
I think the town clerk, I would think, would have
But
to.
it's not required. I personally have missed people all of a sudden were buried, were gone, and I didn't realize they had died.
Well, when
But
we,
only because they were cremated and, the family decided they were going to have their own private service and they
Right.
never registered the death. So,
well, I think we lost a lot when the community newspaper got so expensive for
Yeah.
people to do
Yeah.
obituaries.
Yeah, oh my
That
gosh,
they
I
just
ran one,
didn't.
and I ran one in my local paper from where I'm from, and it was an unbelievable amount of money.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
So many
And it's by the
people,
word, which feels
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
tawdry. I was like, am I going to edit it?
yeah.
And then I didn't, so I paid.
so, yeah, so that, I think that is, you actually have to go to, Legacy, I think it's legacy.com every once in a while to check on your community to see who's,
Art's got a question.
If I could.
Yes, please.
Jen Holly is the cemetery commissioner now, is that the right term?
She's the cemetery superintendent.
Superintendent. Was that somebody that you hired, or was she appointed by Dave Kernan, or?
Dave Kiernan was the town administrator
Yeah.
at the time.
So she
Yeah.
really didn't go through the process?
Yes, she did.
Oh, she did.
We interviewed her.
Okay.
There were not any other
Oh,
candidates.
no, I just,
Yeah, what I'm saying is there wasn't a lot
you
of,
mentioned that your responsibilities is to interview and to suggest.
Yeah.
I didn't know if that actually did happen.
yes, it
Or
did.
if she was,
Yeah,
she went through.
yeah.
it. Okay.
And we did the same with Mike Albans, and before that was Ken Coonrad,
Yeah,
who did it for like 10 years.
yeah.
Wynn Metcalf before that. Yeah.
Wow.
But I've been here since 2017, so I can only really go back that far. So,
I actually have family in the Shaftsbury Hollow Cemetery.
Do you? So do I. Really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, peacock, all right.
They farmed in Shaftsbury Hollow.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the gravestones are missing there.
So it's your personal mission to restore all those smaller cemeteries?
Well, I don't know about that, I think. But I certainly would like to. I'd like to, that's a thing where volunteers and equipment, and there's just some that are really great. And the landowners say, come in, please, and save it,
Yeah.
There's some really nice ones.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to Barry.
Oh, do.
So,
Oh,
yeah, I
do.
love them. I went to I think cemeteries are very cool.
Yeah,
That one that's over in Williamstown where it's like built into the hill. It's very
Oh, yeah, very going to
serious.
North Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a small one in Newfane
Oh, yeah,
that's
not
quite
one.
lovely.
Way up on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's a nice
Yeah,
one. They have
it
some
is.
pretty cool stones there.
Yeah, little kids' graves, 3 in a row. Yeah. There's one in Montpelier, too, that has steps going up
Cool.
into it. I mean, that's what was built as, like, the memorial, is these steps.
Well, that's kind of lovely.
They're fascinating.
I was personally disappointed that we have a regulation that says you can't picnic in the cemetery.
That's what it used to be.
I know.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, every time I see that sign, I think it's odd.
Yeah.
I understand what the intent is to keep out,
Yeah.
people from loitering or nuisance or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I were to go and like have lunch in a cemetery, it wouldn't be like, for
Right.
any malintent. Like,
Right,
it would be respectfully,
That's certainly something to think about 2 years from now when we go over this
Yeah.
again.
And it would have to be
But-
very like clear what that meant. Yeah.
But they, they used to take
I
picnic
know.
lunches in the
I'm thinking
afternoon on the
David
lawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Japanese custom. Yeah.
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 To be with, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And we are sorry, very sorry for the
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
misstep.
We tried
Thank
to
you.
do good, we did not. So, but that happens.
It was surprising. It was dismaying,
Yeah.
Yeah.
disheartening, like,
We're sorry to have shocked
No.
you.
Yep.
yeah.
Very
Yep.
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you want to?
Sure. So I appreciate that you've reinstated the cemetery committee.
You must be
and-
Beth.
Oh, I'm Beth, I'm sorry. Beth Wallace, Elm Street in Shaftsbury. And so I won't reiterate why, I think that was the wrong decision, because we've corrected that. But I do want to share why I was so impassioned about it, maybe to kind of remind you in the future. And that is a little, if you'll indulge me, a little story, that I grew up attending Shaftsbury Town Meeting. In the Shaftsbury Gymnasium, I would go. Usually that was because many of my family members were heads of nonprofits, and so they had to go and sing for their supper and explain why they needed money. So I have so many memories of sitting on the floor, leaned up against the concrete wall in the gymnasium, listening to my neighbors and my family's debate the town business, right? And then the next morning, we would go and cast our ballots. I was just there, tagging along in the Shaftsbury Firehouse. And afterwards, we would stay and we would have super sandwiches with our neighbors. And those were provided by the United Methodist Women, which my Nana was the president of for a while. And I think that just that experience demonstrates something very special about Vermont. And even though that, soup and sandwich has morphed into potluck before town meeting, I think the tradition and the spirit of that tradition is still very much alive. And that is that everybody who was there, whether we agreed with each other or not, was there because we were invested in our community.
Yes.
Maybe we had different ideas about, what that should look like or what investments should look like, but we were there because we were invested in our community. And if we did disagree, we still broke bread and we still looked at each other across the gymnasium or across the table, right? And I think, Vermont is a very special place for a lot of reasons and in a lot of ways. But one of them is our approach to governance. And that is evident by the number of select boards we have versus the number of mayors we have, the numbers of commissions and committees and sub-boards that we rely on to carry out our municipal operations. And I think it's special because it holds us accountable, and it holds us accountable to transparency. And when you operate in a committee structure, you try harder to see things from multiple perspectives and to elicit different opinions and experiences. And you have to, by necessity, try harder to find equitable solutions for all. And I think that is really eroded when we try to centralize power and decision-making in the name of efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we just should carry that with us in the future when we consider that.
And on the plus side, it's you all holding us accountable. And so we appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly.
And us being like, wow, gotta slow down. I'm in Vermont.
It's not a bad thing.
Been here for 5 years, but I guess maybe in 15 or 20 I'll... But yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak to this issue? The two gentlemen present. Okay. So we will be in more dialogue kind of as we go forward, because we're going to be trying to kind of rejuvenate the energy in all of the committees and their intersections with each other as well.
The recreation and all these different...
All the different committees. We may even be calling meetings of the chairs of all the committees, so everybody knows what each other is doing.
There is some overlap. Yeah, we were just having conversations about, the new building and the recreation committee wanting to do like some landscaping. So just trying to see how everybody can start to best work together.
And the new building is right next to the cemetery.
Yeah, that's
true. Yeah. So. Okay. Review of action items.
I don't think there were action items.
I don't think we actually...
For next Monday.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
Next Monday, another select board meeting.
To warn us.
Say that enthusiasm.
But we're going to hear from the sewer feasibility
Which is
committee,
exciting.
which is very exciting.
It's true.
About the possibility of
It's true.
putting in a community septic. So.
Excited to hear the results of their work.
Okay, and we now have discussed entering an executive session to talk about a personnel issue, and I know that sounds funny to you after the last one. It has nothing, we're not coming out with an action.
No actions.
It's a follow-up on the other thing that, in fact, we were talking about as well in the last one.
So moved.
Motion. Thank you, Brad.
Second.
Thank you, Tony. When we come out, we're not going to be taking
No, we're not
any
taking any
action.
action. I think it's just like
Bye, Art.
formality kind of stuff.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Art.
Thank you.
Thank you so
all
much,
for coming.
folks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Good to see you.
We are not going to be taking action when we come out, so you don't really need to hang around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys go into executive session?
I don't think we voted.
Oh, Jesus.
Didn't we vote?
Well, we
didn't vote.
motioned and
We
seconded.
moved and seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Recording stopped.
Went great. But now we're going to figure out a lot more out though.
Have a good night. Are we going all at once?
I guess.
Hopefully it cooled down.
I thought it was nice.
It's not as sunny.
We could go into Gina's office instead.
Is Gina's office different?
Well, if I don't see you guys, see you.
See you next time you're here.
I'm probably going to be here because it's going to be another 2.
Oh, right. Good. Okay. It's fun to have you
Do you
here.
want me to wheel in a chair for you, or would you like to stay?
Oh, I think